the rock, paper, scissors Swift Playground coding activity, you are going to use the classic rock, paper, scissors game and develop something that's similar but very unique to you and what you would like to build. I'm going to walk you through how to start coding this and give you some examples that you can follow if you're trying to code without me in the classroom. Currently up on my screen, you're going to notice that we almost have a book that's guiding us through things. I can change the pages of this book by just tapping on the next icon, using the left and right arrows at the top of the screen. And then at the bottom, as I complete things, we will have icons popping up, allowing me to also go to the next page. You also can move to the next page of things by coming up to the chapter book in the top left and selecting which chapter you would like to work on if it doesn't automatically move you forward. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Get Started. And this is going to walk you through just the basic rules of rock, paper, scissors. If you need to familiarize yourself with this game, go ahead and read through this. I'm going to select Teach Me How. And this is where our code starts to take place. So in this game, we need to first identify a variable that's going to allow me to get started with my coding. A variable is just almost a placeholder that can store information or values, and those can be changed as needed. So I'm going to put a variable in, and that's going to pull some information in for me. So looking at this page, you can see the first thing they'd like me to enter code-wise is a variable for the game. So essentially, someone else has coded this game and built this game, and I want to bring this game onto my coding page. To do that, I'm going to hit Copy, and you can see I've copied it because I had that green check mark. I'm going to come over to my coding area, and I am going to paste this in. And now I'm bringing in a variable, which is the game that I want to play. And then, for me to play the game, I need to add another line of code, which is game.play. I'm going to go ahead and copy, and then come over to my coding area and paste. So now that I have these two lines of code down, I can come over and select Run My Code, and I can play this game. So the really nice part about this is that I don't have to be a coding expert to make this work. A lot of the difficult work was done for me, and all I had to do was say, bring in this game, and I want to play the game. And now I've brought in this game that someone else has coded, and I can begin playing that game and adding extra details. So using this game, I can rotate currently between rock, scissors, and paper, and I would be able to play this computer opponent. So once I select the action that I want, I would select Go, and I can figure out if I win, loss, or tied. I lost that round, and you can see that my opponent just got one win. So this is the basic piece of the game, and as programmers, we get to modify this and make it our own. So now that this book is down at the bottom, all I need to do is just tap the top of the book, and you can see that I completed this challenge by adding those two lines of code in. To go to the next page, I could come up to my chapter book and select Sharing Code. I could go to my next arrow, or I could select Next. Now it comes to the point where we want to talk about sharing code. I'm going to compare this a lot to Google Drive. As a teacher, I have the ability to make assignments in Google Drive and then share it with all of my students. So essentially, I'm building one Google Doc for this pretend assignment, and then I share that Google Doc out with, let's say, 25 of my students. All of those students can go ahead and make a copy of that and start working and putting all their thoughts, ideas, and answers down. Well, this is kind of like that. you can see that I still have my variable called game. But this time we've added a new word to it, which is public. So this means that everyone has access to it and anyone can use this game that they would like to play. I also have public function, which is called setup game. So inside of this function, and you can see I've highlighted it in blue, I have my hamburger buns on each side of the function. And now I can start adding coding details in here and I can edit and change that game. So even though I didn't code and build this game, because it is public, I can go ahead and use it and edit it and make it my own. So we're going to go ahead and select try it and see what we can do. So scrolling through here, we're going to come to a part where they would like me to add an opponent to the game that I'm going to play. And it currently looks like the opponent is going to be an orangutan. We can change this later if you'd like to. So to do this, I'm going to come over and copy this code by selecting this icon. And then I'm going to come over and I want to put this inside of my function. I don't want it outside the hamburger buns, I want it in the hamburger buns. So I am going to paste, and now I've added a line of code inside of my function, allowing me to edit and set up the game. I'm going to come back over and hit run my code and see if my changes made its way over to the game. And you can see up here, it's very small, but I have an orangutan now as my opponent. So my code is being translated to the game that I'm playing. Going back to my book, you can see that I now have success because I've copy and pasted their code over to my coding area. And I'm going to go ahead and select now what. This is just a question asking you your opinion. We're going to go ahead and skip this for now. I'm going to skip this by hitting the next arrow up at the top. For this next page, they would like me to add another line of code inside of my function. And this time we're going to enter something to say, hey, if we win a round of rock, paper, scissors, what is my prize going to be? And currently my prize is a lollipop. So I can copy that code by selecting the icon, and then I'll come over and I will copy and paste that code into its correct spot. So now that I have my opponent and what I'm going to win if I win that round, I can come back and hit run my code, and I can see if my code is being translated over to the actual game. So I'm going to hit go, and you can see that I lost and my opponent just gained 1 lollipop while I still have 0. I'm going to come down here and tap on the top of my book to bring it back up, and you can see that I completed this challenge by copying and pasting that code into the correct location. I'm going to hit next. On the next screen, we get to start really customizing what we want this game to look like. You can see up at the top, instead of just using rock, paper, or scissors, we could get really crazy and use butterfly versus fairy versus mushroom, or eagle versus robot versus dragon versus unicorn, or whatever you want it to be. We get to decide, and the rules don't really matter. So here's what we need to do. Coming down here, we need to add new code to my public function, allowing me to set up the game. So you can see I'm adding variables for the butterfly and then showing, hey, the butterfly is this emoji. So even if we're not using butterfly, fairy, mushroom, we're still going to copy the code, and we're still going to come over and paste that code into our function. So now if I left this code alone, this is what my actions would be: butterfly, fairy, mushroom. Or I can come over and start editing this. So I could delete butterfly, and I could say I wanted a dog. Delete that emoji, and let's put a dog emoji in. I could delete fairy and go cat, and I can delete the fairy emoji and put in a cat emoji. So I can go through and I can put in whatever I want, and I can put my 3 new variables in. So I am going to hit run my code, and let's see if my new variables have showed up. So do I have a mushroom, a dog, and a cat? Well, toggling through, it looks like I see mushroom, dog, cat. So let's go ahead and hit go and see what happens. So cat and mushroom are a tie. Cat and dog are a tie, so it looks like I have an issue. No matter what 2 characters I get, it's going to be a tie. So we need to take a look at the next screen to fix that. So I'm going to go ahead and tap the top of my book, bring the book up, and you can see that I completed the challenge because I copy and pasted this into my coding area. So let's go ahead and hit next. So now we're going to add some actions. And in this particular one, we need to focus on who beats who. So they're saying that the butterfly would have beaten the fairy. So even though I remove the butterfly and the fairy, I'm still going to copy my code, and then I am going to paste that code in. Now I would need to come over, since I don't have butterfly or fairy, that's why I'm getting this red error code, and I need to make it relevant to my situation. So instead of butterfly beats fairy, I'm going to do dog beats cat. I can paste it again, and this time let's do cat beats mushroom. Paste it again, and let's do mushroom beats dog. And now I have my rules in place, even if they don't exactly make sense. So I have these 3 rules in place, and I can hit run my code. So I should have my new variables still appearing. So I have dog, cat, mushroom, all's good, and I have my rules in place. So let's go ahead and hit go and see what happens. So mushroom and mushroom is a tie, dog beats cat, that's correct. So it looks like things are working. Let's test it one more time. Cat loses to dog. So it does look like this is working for me. And as you can see, it's also keeping track of how many times we won. So I won once, got a lollipop. My opponent won once and got a lollipop. Let's come back down to my book and open it up. And you can see I completed this challenge. So we're going to go ahead and hit next. For this particular piece, we are going to go ahead and just skip it and not add this in. So I technically cannot complete this one, so I'm going to need to come over to my chapter book and select modifying properties. The next page we want to look at in our chapter book is modifying properties. I think this is my favorite page to work on because when you're looking inside of our book, we have 6 different things that you get to customize on your page. I think this page is very self-explanatory and very easy for us to follow. If I come up to rounds to win, so this is figuring out, well, hey, do I want to win 2 to be the winner, 3 to be the winner? I get to decide. I get to open this up, and it has the code for me. So I get to copy the code, paste the code, and if I wanted, I can edit the 2 to a different number. So maybe I want to win 3 to be victorious. I get to go through and decide all of these. If I win the round, what kind of prize do I get? If I win the round, do I get a text? Do I just get an emoji? If I lose the round, am I told something or get an emoji? If I tie the round, what happens? And I even have a challenger text that I can do. So all you have to do is open up each one and decide if we're going to copy and paste it in and if we are going to modify it to meet our own game. So go ahead, go through this page, find the 6 different pieces that you can edit and copy those into your code. Last page that we are able to work on in Rock, Paper, Scissors is all about the victory animation that you're going to see. So remember, one of your options to customize this game is you got to pick how many rounds we needed to win to be the overall winner. We now get to decide how we want our animation to look after we win or after our opponent wins. So in this section, it's going to show us how we're able to do that. I'm going to go ahead and select Teach Me How. In this victory animation, I am going to copy and paste my code, and I am going to place this function also inside of my hamburger buns and right where everything else is gone in this game setup. So I'm going to copy this, come over and paste. And I'm going to send this down just a little bit so we can see it kind of spaced by itself. So essentially what this is saying is if I'm victorious, if I am the winner, my player is going to move and fade, and they're going to move and fade in for 3 seconds. So this is the only thing that it is doing during this victory animation. Let's go ahead and watch this by hitting Run My Code. And you can see that I was able to win. So my character is the smiley face sunglasses, unless I'd like to change it. And when I got that victory, my character slowly faded in. So let's go back to our book and let's go and see what else we can do, because this wasn't really that exciting. So I'm going to come over and hit the next arrow, and just like we had a couple of pages ago, I now have options that I can directly copy and paste in. So if I wanted to look at scene animations, I could drop this down and I could copy and paste any of these elements into my function. I could scale my player, making my player grow and shrink. I could also animate my avatar by putting any of these code items in. And these colors and numbers can also be edited. So your last piece of this puzzle is to continue to add details and elements to your game that you think a player would like and find fun. I hope you had fun building this game with me, and I can't wait to see what you were able to code.